Hi, I'm Robbie Lawler.
What's up, Fight Family? This is your favorite MMA coach, Thiago Alves, the Pitbull.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Pedro Munoz.
This is Mike Brown.
Guys, I am Alexei Olenik. And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And this is We Want One Picks.
And you're watching We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks. Hi, everybody from American Top Picks.
My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jake and I are going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 51 fight card. We're going to give you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. If you want 50 free dollars, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 5 different betting partners. Jump into any one of them, make a deposit, let me know after you do, and we send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. Literally free money for signing up with betting partners and making a deposit. How you doing, Jake?
I'm feeling absolutely. You know what I've been enjoying these last few days, Angelo, is all the Piotr Jan. He's gonna dominate Aljamain's turn. He's gonna dominate, and now they flipped all the way to, oh my god, he got screwed on this. He won round 1. That's been my favorite part of the last 2 days.
Yeah, I did see. Everybody thought he would murder Aljamain, and then now they're like, well, the decision was bad. So I agree. Overall, interesting.
Sour grapes, man. Sour grapes.
It was interesting. So I went 7-5 last week. So did you. I got a little too aggressive with some underdogs because the reality is only one real underdog won in the whole night. That was Aljamain. Then you could argue that Mark Madsen was underdog, but he was minus money. So, you know, it was
good. Lock of the week is on a 1 fight winning streak. We had a little bit of a losing streak. It lasted about 13, 14, 15 minutes. The shortest losing streak in history. We're feeling good. We're back at it. And I got a special lock of the week this week.
Well, let's find out. And overall, our picks have been rock solid. I am 91-43 on the year. So this week, assuming I will do as well as I have been, this week will get me over 100 correct picks on the year, which is pretty solid this early on. So let's get right into it. And this is brought to you by Earn You. Earn You is the world's first sports and esports prediction game, allowing you to earn crypto risk-free. Check it out now at earnu.io. And ODDSJAM. ODDSJAM has the fastest real-time data integrations with all of your favorite sportsbooks that will help you spot discrepancies between these sportsbooks so you can place risk-free bets. Check them out at oddsjam.com. And we've got an interesting card. It's not the greatest card in the world. It's not the worst card in the world. But there are some sneaky good fights in here. And this might be one of them. First up, at UFC Vegas 51, we have Heili Alateng taking on Kevin Croom. Alateng is 14-8 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off a draw with Gustavo Lopez. Kevin Croom is 21-14 overall, 2-2-1 in his last 5, and he is riding a 2-fight skid. Heili Alateng is a technical striker who can work in grappling when he needs to. He took down Ryan Benoit 4 times and Dana Bagarai 3 times in those wins. The problem can be that because he's so technical and he relies on being technical in his striking, he can struggle with a brawler at times. And similar to Alateng's last opponent, Kevin Croom is kind of a brawler. He's going to come charging forward with big hooks, and that could cause some trouble for Alateng. I do not see Alateng pushing a grappling game plan, but if he does get into trouble, he does have that there if he needs it. Kevin Croom is a well-rounded... Oh my God,
the slides aren't on the screen.
All right, let's go ahead and fix it. Boy, this happened...
Thanks, guys.
I think I didn't even get through the first one. Let me know if this pops up. Pull it up on your phone so we can see.
It's
you know what's so funny? It's up.
Yeah.
I recorded quick picks on my own, and it didn't. None of the graphics were recorded. So in editing, I had to add every single graphic. So I'm going to superimpose that.
And I believe he goes by Alateng Heili. It's the reverse.
Yeah, and the UFC has it listed as literally one word. No space.
I mean that's how it is everywhere now. Even when it's like Korean Zombie, for him it's Alateng Heili, whole word. So
all right, well, I'm just going to run this back, guys. bear with me. Starting this one over.
I'll start it. First up, we've got not Jacob.
First up at UFC Vegas 51, we have Alateng Heili taking on Kevin Croom. Alateng Heili, 14-8 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a draw with Gustavo Lopez. Kevin Croom, 21-14 overall, 2-2-1 in his last 5, and he is riding a 2-fight skid. Alateng Heili's a technical striker that can work in grappling when he needs to. He took down Ryan Benoit 4 times and Dana Bagarai 3 times in those wins. What can be a problem for him at times is that he is technical and he relies on his technical striking. So somebody like Kevin Croom, who can be a brawler at times, can come in, charging in with big hooks and create problems for Alateng. I do not see him pushing a grappling game plan, but if he gets in trouble, he does have grappling as a backup plan. Kevin Croom is a well-rounded guy with sneaky submissions and unorthodox striking. He's coming off 2 losses in a row, but they were both short notice, and they weren't terrible outings. He didn't look that awful in those fights. He's been with James Krause for a few camps now, and that has helped clean up some of his striking, but luckily for him, he will always have that awkward style, and it does work for him. He's an interesting fighter because if he's losing the striking exchanges, he can win grappling exchanges, but he doesn't have the wrestling to manage those transitions. So if a fight is on the ground, he's a threat there. If the fight's standing, he can be a threat there as well, but he can't control where that fight goes. I think Alateng Heili here, I like him. He's almost a 2-1 favorite, but I do think that these odds are wide. I think he'll be the more technical striker, but I mentioned he can struggle with the brawlers and that style. He can absolutely get this to the ground if he needs to, but if he does get it to the ground, he'll have to worry about Croom's submission. So I like Alateng. I think he wins, but Kevin Croom is a far better fighter than his record will tell you. What do you think, Jakey boy? I do have a bet on this, but I'll cover that after you go.
Yeah, no problem. I just need to get this out of the way. You see my name right here, not Kevin Croom. I put up with the Jamie Malarkey stuff. That's fine. I like Jamie Malarkey. Nothing against Kevin Croom. Do not say that I look like Kevin Croom, because I do not look like Kevin Croom. I know it's coming. So if you say it, you're getting banned. I was actually looking at the picture. I'm like, that actually would look like me like just before I went into rehab. No disrespect to Kevin Croom, but I'm a good-looking dude. And he's been hit in the face a few times, so that's a picture of me if I just about to go into rehab. But yeah, I agree with you in this fight. Kevin Croom is better than his record shows. He is a tough guy. He is well-rounded. But Alateng is a guy that I wish he would go back to his wrestling, because he was like the the third ranked wrestler in China, whatever division it was, at one point. So he was like an all-in wrestler, one of the best wrestlers in the entire country. And then he comes to the UFC and he's just trying to outstrike somebody. Or outstrike everyone. His record is a little deceiving, 14-8. He actually was 4-6 at one point in his career fighting on the regional scene in China. So that makes him 10-2 in his last 12 fights. So, he's a better fighter than his record shows. He is very good. He does have real power. I agree. I think that his path to victory probably is the grappling. I think that's where he can take Kevin Croom down and control him. But he's probably going to strike. This thing could get a little bit sloppy, and those are the kind of fights that Kevin Croom loves. So if Kevin Croom can avoid the big power from Alateng, he's got a really good shot, but that power is real, and there's always that grappling threat as well. So I'm going Alateng. Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think, so I do have a bet on here. I think Kevin Croom's a pretty durable guy, and I think Alateng, he can be dangerous, but I like Kevin Croom win inside the distance, decision, no action, because I think he can come in, charging in, make it ugly, make it dirty, break Alateng or frustrate Alateng and potentially catch him with something, even on the ground. But I think he's durable enough to not get stopped, right? He's fought a lot of good people. He has been stopped in the past, so it's not like he's the most durable guy ever, but I think he's durable enough, especially in this matchup. So I like Kevin Croom wins inside the distance, decision, no action. All that means is if Kevin Croom wins by knockout, submission, whatever stoppage, you'll get paid. But if he loses a decision, you get a refund. The bet never happened. You're only going to get that at WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners. Bet Online is the one partner that offers that safety net bet. You like Alateng? Do you like him at $8,800 in DraftKings?
No, because he is a little bit low volume. Maybe if I was convinced he was going to use the wrestling, but as you mentioned, Kevin Croom is tough, and those veterans know how to survive. They know when they're hurt. They know how to survive in certain situations. So I like that bet that you placed, honestly, and I'll probably stay away from Alateng in DraftKings.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to touch Alateng either. Like I said, I think he wins, but I mentioned the odds are wide, and I'm not going to spend almost $9,000 on a guy that I don't even think should be a 2-1 favorite.
And he won his last fight. There was a point deduction for fence grabbing, but so he won that last fight. But
Correct.
Anyway.
And Monkey Knife Fight, I think it's more and more. I think these guys go at it. I think we have a decision, and I think it's more on Monkey Knife Fight. Do you agree?
I think we've agreed on every Monkey Knife Fight for the last 6 weeks.
No.
That's not even a joke either. It seems like we have at Monkey Knife Fight.
They've been hitting too. Obviously, I don't keep track of every single one, but there was a bunch where I knew I loved the line and they hit for sure. So check that out. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit up to $100. So check that out now. It's daily fantasy. It's fun and it's easy.
Oh, we have 5,000 subscribers now.
We do have 5,000 subscribers. Thank you all very, very much. That is a massive accomplishment.
That means my bonus kicks in.
Yeah, you didn't do a Lock of the Week video last week, so that bonus is. That's
or my Aljo video. If I would have done the Aljo video, oh my god! Because the comments would have been like
content.
So if people don't know, I had a whole Aljo Jan video planned with all these notes, and I just didn't get around to it. Honestly, I was scared. I didn't want it out there because I thought maybe he would get dominated, but damn it.
Next up at UFC Vegas 51, we have Sam Hughes taking on Istela Nunes. Sam Hughes is 5-4 overall, 1-4 in her last 5, and she is looking for her first UFC win. Istela Nunes is 6-2 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, and she's also looking for her first UFC win. And Sam Hughes is a good striker, and she is pretty big for this weight class. She's very aggressive, but also very hittable. She has a negative 2-1 striking differential, which means she is hit twice as much as she hits her opponents. Her forward pressure can be an issue for some people, but if you can stick and move and play that outside game, you can have success against Sam Hughes. Istela Nunes is coming off a loss in her UFC debut, which was after a 3-year USADA suspension. So she went 3 years with no fight. Came back, had a fight in the UFC, and did lose. She has only 8 MMA fights, but she has an enormous amount of kickboxing experience. She's very fast with solid power and incredibly versatile striking offense, throwing kicks from anywhere to anywhere with impressive speed. She does have holes in her grappling, and that could be an issue, but Sam Hughes has yet to take anyone down in the UFC so far. If you look at Nunes' last fight, she won all of the striking exchanges, but lost a decision because she gave up 5 takedowns. If you look at Sam's last fight, you'll see she was outstruck and outgrappled. She's 0-3 in the UFC, but she has had some rough matchups with Tisha Torres, Loma Lukbumi, and Luana Pinheiro. I do think Istela has the cleaner striking and will win those striking exchanges. I don't see Hughes being able to take her down, which means that this probably ends up being a 3-round decision win for Istela Nunes. So obviously, I'm on the Istela Nunes side. What do you think, Jackie Boy?
Yeah, this is like extremely disrespectful, but I don't know why Sam Hughes is still in the UFC. I mean, that was tough competition, but she has showed nothing really in those fights. And honestly, going into this fight, seeing that Nunes was kind of dominated in the grappling her last fight, if you're Sam Hughes and you lost your last 3 fights, you haven't won in the UFC, you might just try and reinvent yourself. And what hasn't been working is your striking. So maybe she found a way to reinvent herself, spent the entire camp since her last fight working on wrestling. As soon as she got this opponent, it's just wrestle. Maybe she comes out and gets some takedowns and surprises us. But from what we've seen from Sam Hughes, she's probably, like you said, she's tough. She's going to be there, but she's just a step behind pretty much in every aspect of MMA against everyone she's fought up to this point. And I like Nunes and her striking ability. You mentioned she was winning all the striking exchanges against Carnellucci in the last fight. The only thing she lost was the grappling and the wrestling against Sam Hughes. She shouldn't have to worry about that. We'll see if she comes in with a different game plan than she has. But yeah, I'm Nunes all the way in this fight. I like her ability too to kind of she will throw power shots off her back foot, which I kind of like. If Sam Hughes is going to pressure her, she could be eating shots on the way in. So I like Nunes pretty much all the way.
Yeah, I think we're obviously aligned there. If we look at DraftKings, it's another problem, though. $8,900. We're talking almost $9,000. I think she wins. I think the odds are correct. The problem is if I spend that much, I probably want to finish. And Sam Hughes is tough. I don't necessarily know if Istela Nunes is going to be enough to finish her. What do you think?
I'm not spending that.
Yeah, I don't think I'll spend that either. And I don't think there's enough value on Sam Hughes at $7,300. And then we have the Monkey Knife Fight line. Again, I think it's a more. Sam Hughes is the number that I worry about, but I think Istela Nunes touches her whenever she wants to, runs circles around her, and has no problems riding out a decision that's 99% striking.
Yeah, it should be a lot of striking. That just seems a little high to me. I'm going to stay away from it. If I had to play it, I'd play more, but I don't like that line.
Well, there's lines on every single fight, so you do not need to play all of them. But if you do want 50 free bucks, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 5 different betting partners. Sign up, make a deposit with any one of them. Let us know if you do, and we send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. You sign up for all 5, then obviously we send you $250. wewantpicks.com/bets. Next up, at UFC Vegas 51, we have Trey Ogden taking on Jordan Leavitt. Trey Ogden is 15-4 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, riding a 3-fight submission streak into his UFC debut. Jordan Leavitt, 9-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a solid submission win after his first career loss. Trey Ogden is an athletic grappler with solid takedowns and decent power in his hands. He's absolutely a grappler, but if you run through his tape, you'll see that even if he's winning those fights by submission on paper, a lot of those don't even start with takedowns. He is dropping his opponents with strikes and then snatching things up and making stuff happen from there. So he's very capable on the feet. His takedowns are really well timed, and he does an excellent job of lowering his level and shooting blast doubles as his opponents come in. Jordan Leavitt is also a grappler, but he's more of a throwback to the early days of the UFC. He's a very good one-dimensional grappler. He's got subpar striking and subpar wrestling. The problem with Jordan is that because his striking isn't a real threat, he can't use that to set up takedowns. And because his wrestling is less than okay, and he's only 31% accurate with his takedowns, he literally needs perfect wrestling setups to get those takedowns, and those are just not easy things to come by. And it's an interesting matchup because Trey Ogden is the more well-rounded fighter, but Jordan Leavitt is the more dangerous fighter. And he may honestly look like Mackenzie Dern in this fight against Tecia Torres, where Mackenzie didn't shoot a takedown. She just jumped on top of Tecia and just started climbing the body and trying to make something happen instead of attempting a traditional takedown. And Jordan Leavitt may actually end up having to do something like that because he does not have clean takedowns. I like Trey to win here, and I'm going to pick him, but this is his UFC debut, and Jordan's ground game does have me a little nervous. And Zeus, LOL, welcome to the club. Thank you for becoming a member.
The club, huh? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called
we're
these
calling
days?
it a club now.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Don't forget to get your Boy
Okay,
Scout
what's
badge.
your, can we get your thoughts here, please? For the love
Yeah,
of God.
I'm a big Jordan Leavitt guy. I think he actually was a lock of the week against his Claudio Puelles fight that he ended up just getting absolutely dominated in that fight. And that's kind of telling for this fight because he got dominated in the wrestling and it looked like he really had nothing to give off his back. We've seen him with his submissions getting those drag takedowns. He's not a wrestler. You mentioned the takedowns are tough for him. A lot of them are just kind of drag people down to the ground. That's not going to work against Trey Ogden. If he ends up on his back, I don't think he's going to get submitted, but he's going to get ground and pounded, and it's going to be close to a submission for Trey Ogden in this fight. I like Jordan Leavitt typically, but against somebody that can wrestle like Trey Ogden and is just nastier. Because in that Claudio fight with Jordan Leavitt, it almost looked like Jordan Leavitt was just kind of out of it. It's like he didn't have any tenacity to fight out of those positions. He was just accepting being on his back. And I think Trey, he doesn't need to use his wrestling. I think I would prefer for him to use his striking in this matchup because he is going to have such an advantage. But if he wants to shoot at takedowns, we've seen Jordan Leavitt offer nothing off his back. And I think Trey has a lot to offer from top position. I even saw him take down and submit Mr. Arkansas Wrestling TJ Brown. I'm a big TJ Brown guy. He took him down, submitted him in the first round, took his back, choked him out. The same thing might happen here at Jordan Leavitt if he is not careful. I'm Trey Ogden all the way. I'm a big Jordan Leavitt guy, this is just an awful, awful, awful matchup for him. And he's talking about like he wants another reverse triangle submission. I want to be the first guy to have 2 reverse triangle submissions. You better just focus on winning this fight and not how you're going to finish it, man. I'm Trey Ogden all the way.
Yeah, so again, we are aligned. This isn't great. Hoping for some different perspectives here, Jacob. But, I'm not a fan of these super one-dimensional fighters, and Jordan Leavitt is just one of those guys. He's just way too one-dimensional for 2022 MMA. $8,300 on Trey Ogden, that's honestly probably worth it. It's probably genuinely worth it. And, I think I'll spend it because, yes, Jordan Leavitt will be live for a submission. That's just sort of his jam. But I think Trey takes him down whenever he wants to, touches him in the face whenever he wants to. I don't know if he'll get a finish, but I think there's plenty of control time, plenty of takedowns, plenty of strikes, and $8,300 is almost even money. What do you think?
100% agree. Jordan Leavitt is not going to try and defend a takedown. He wants to be on the ground. So he's just going to work for a submission on a takedown attempt, either a guillotine or doing something weird in a scramble, and he's going to end up on his back most likely. So whenever Trey wants to take him down, those opportunities are there. I think he takes advantage of them, and I 100% agree.
All right, so more alignment. 45 strikes to 54 strikes. The 45 from Jordan is what worries me because I don't know if he'll get 45 strikes off. He just wants to grapple so bad. But I do think Trey gets past 54. I think he does it on his feet. And I think he does it on the ground after the takedowns. What do you think of that Monkey Knife Fight line?
If you're stuck on your back, all you can do sometimes is just kind of hit people in the back of the head. Not the back of the head, but the side of the head and stuff. Those add up quick.
Well, and that literally is every single strike. If you want to check out Monkey Knife Fight, it is daily fantasy. Perfectly legal. It's an app. It's a website. It's like every other fantasy app on your phone. All you do is say more or less than the strike line here, and you can triple your money, 25 times your money. There's a whole bunch of different options to make $1. Check it out, weonpicks.com/MKF. And if you want 50 free dollars, weonpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let us know after you do, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up, at UFC Vegas 51, we have the return of Chris Huggy Bear Barnett, and he's taking on Martin Buday. Chris Barnett, 22-7 overall. He's 4-1 in his last 5, coming off his first UFC win. Martin Buday is 9-1 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, making his official UFC debut. And Chris Barnett's coming off that awesome highlight reel win in his last fight where he was able to showcase his athleticism. And I mentioned this a few times. I've managed fighters for a very long time, and for a period of time, about 5 years of that managing fighter journey, I had a bunch of fighters in the XFC. I had Parker Porter, who's in the UFC now, Nick Newell, Mariana Kafetz, Ryan Quinn, and a few others. And we, every month.
Did you say my name?
I
You
did
left
not.
mine out?
Yeah, I'm oops. And every month there was a different XFC event, and I would travel and hang out, and Chris Barnett was their guy. Like, he was local to Tampa. He was the poster boy. People loved him. So I spent a lot of time with him, and A, couldn't be a nicer, happier, funny guy, but B, the knock on him always was he wasn't very dedicated. He didn't put in the time. He is stupid athletic, and he does things that somebody who looks like him should never be able to do. Right? He should not be able to do spinning back kicks. He shouldn't be able to do backflips. He shouldn't be able to do any of that. He's short, he's heavy, but he can do all of it. He just never took his career seriously. But I know for a fact he is taking his career seriously now. So you have a guy who has power in his hands. He's stupid athletic. And now, like later in life, he's made the mistakes. He's starting to actually put in the time and try to make things happen. I think it's definitely a factor, and it's definitely something that should be considered. He's got very real power. He will manage to land strikes, even though he is always the shorter guy with the shorter reach. And again, he has not taken his career seriously in the past, but he has been lately. Martin Buday is a heavy-handed striker with solid footwork and very real power. And he's interesting because all of his wins are by stoppage, and it's very clear that he has real power. But he is a slow starter, and he's surprisingly hittable. If you go back and watch his fights at Octagon, that's the name of the promotion, Tagon, you'll see that even though his footwork is solid and he is always moving, he gets hit a lot, and he doesn't always engage. His Contender Series win was very impressive, and the reality is that even though he may be slow to engage, when he does engage, everything has power, even his jab, and he can grapple on top of that. So he is a threat, but he is hittable before he sort of wakes up and puts it out there. And I was surprised to see this matchup because I would assume that after Chris Barnett's last win, the UFC would be pushing him because he is exciting. He is fun. He can do crazy things. And I thought they'd give him a couple of easier matchups, but they said screw it. And they're giving him a very, very dangerous prospect. And it is an interesting fight, though, because I think Chris will be faster, more athletic, and more dynamic. But Buday will have the power, the technical striking advantage, and probably the grappling advantage as well. Chris is coming off that awesome knockout over John Vellante. But if you watch that fight, he was kind of a step behind the entire time. And John Vellante looked pretty good up until getting hit in the face with a spinning back kick. So, you know, I really don't know what to do, right? I love Chris's just raw athleticism, his dedication. I love that he has power. I love all that stuff. But Buday is scary. He's got real power in his hands. He's got solid grappling. But if he doesn't get going and he takes his time again, Chris could catch up to him. But if he does get going and he keeps his hands out there and stays in Chris's face, I don't think Chris will be able to catch up. So I am siding with Martin Buday here, but watch his fights. He's not as dominant as his record suggests. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually 100% agree. Unfortunately,
Oh
this is not John Vellante. Let's get that straight. This is Martin Buday. But that 9-1 record, you look at it, you look down the list, a ton of finishes. His only loss, a decision loss to Juan Espino, who was on a tear on his own right. But I agree, he does get hit, and he just kind of plots around. And not only does he get hit, he gets hit a lot with his head just moving straight back, right? And you see that a lot of times with taller people. They can get away with it a lot of times. He's 6'4", and he's fighting a 5'9" guy, so it really shouldn't be an issue. But if you keep moving your head back and your chin up, and Chris Barnett, with his athleticism, he's going to come in and get in that pocket a lot faster than you think he is. So if you're playing that chin game with your chin out there, anything can happen in this matchup. I think Martin Buday definitely is the play, but if Chris Barnett finds a way to knock this dude out, I would not be surprised. But he takes his time, he plots around, then he throws that big right hand, and when it lands, it lands. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Chris gets going early because I'd rather get my pick wrong and see him get a win. Yeah. What's up, Baby Red?
I'm going Martin he's got a slick little lead elbow that he throws. I'm going lead elbow KO.
Okay, yeah, super specific. $7,200 to $9,000. I do think this probably ends in a stoppage either way. So, man, I hate to pick against Chris, but $9,000, it's a lot. It's his official UFC debut. He is a slow starter. But once he gets going, he gets going. But if he can't put Chris away, he may fade big time or get frustrated, and then Chris can really let stuff go. I mean, Chris was behind that entire John Vellante fight before he really let it happen. What do you think of DraftKings? You doing the 9,000 or too many questions for you?
I'll probably do the 9,000. If you can't knock out Chris Barnett, you got issues. If you're supposed to be that dominant.
And then we got Monkey Knife Fight 25 to 33. I actually think it's more and more. I think it goes a little bit. I think there's some feeling out on both sides. 25 strikes is nothing. That is not a lot of strikes. 33 is also not a lot of strikes. So I think it's more and more with Monkey Knife Fight.
I think it's less because Buday, when he feels stuff out, he doesn't throw strikes. He just kind of walks around, and Barnett's going to have problems with the length off the start. It's hard for him to get inside off the rip. So the feeling out is going to be a lot of feinting, not a lot of strikes. I'm going less.
All right, so you basically think it's a boring fight, and then bang.
Bang, the first exchange, lead elbow. One of those.
Yeah, I don't...
See how quick, are you seeing how quick that is? That's crazy. It's just it's there. All of a sudden, it's like and all of a sudden it's there.
Yeah, no,
that's crazy. I didn't even know that was that fast. I literally didn't know I was that fast.
Take my purse. I don't want any trouble, please, sir. No. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know, and we send you $50. You could spend that money on a self-defense class, so somebody like Jacob can't just rock you with that crazy elbow and take your money. WeWantPicks.com/bets. You want to check out Monkey Knife Fight? WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Next up at UFC Vegas 51, we have Rafa Garcia taking on Jesse Ronson. Rafa Garcia, 13-2 overall. He's 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a great win over a highly touted grappling prospect. Jesse Ronson, 21-10 overall. 2-2-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off a USADA suspension. Listen, this fight is listed at 170. So Topology says this fight is at 170. UFC says it's at 155. I imagine it's 155, but historically speaking, the UFC website is very incorrect. So let's just assume it's at 155. These are both 155 pounders. They've both fought at 70 before, but let's assume it's at 155. And I know a lot of you think the weight class matters here. I actually don't, but let's jump right in. We got Rafa Garcia. He's a very good grappler with heavy hands and weak cardio. He's an absolute dog when he fights. And even when he's completely gassed, he is still pushing and still chasing a knockout. He's very dangerous. And even though he's a grappler with 7 submission wins, he has legit power in his hands. And many of those submissions were set up by strikes. Jesse Ronson is listed as coming off a no contest over Nicholas Dalby, but he actually won that fight by rear naked choke, but the win was overturned because of a banned substance from USADA. He maintains that it was just tainted supplements, but he was suspended nonetheless, and that win was overturned. Technique-wise, he's a busy striker with sneaky power and solid takedown defense. Even though he's a striker who prefers to strike, he has solid offensive BJJ, and he has had a lot of success snatching things up in scrambles. And when I break down fights, you guys can tell I'm reading notes here, but when I break down fights and I'm writing my notes, I do my research on fighter A, I do my research on fighter B, I take any new notes, I watch their last fights, I compare that to my old notes, I put it all together, and then I look at the betting odds. And this fight surprised me with Rafa Garcia at only minus 120. I thought for sure he would be like a minus 300 favorite. I genuinely did. You're making a stupid face here, but I am shocked that Rafa Garcia, with that power in his hands, that dangerous ground game, the fact that he's proven, yes, his cardio can be an issue, but he continues to move forward and make things happen. I was surprised. Jesse Ronson is 0-3 in the UFC, 21-10. And Rafa Garcia is just a tiny favorite here. So even if Jesse's the more technical striker, he does have chin issues. Rafa Garcia hits like a truck. This is a clear pick for me. Rafa Garcia for sure. I've already got a money line bet on him. And I don't know what I'm missing. Jacob, do you agree? If not, let me know what I'm missing.
A lot of people ask, like, what do you look like with your hat off? I think Jesse wrote, that's what I look like with my hat off is Jesse over there. So in case you were curious. That would be pretty funny if I just took it off and just look at that like that.
You do 3/4 of the videos with no hat on.
I don't think I do.
You do. Go ahead.
Okay. I think Rafa should win this fight, but I think his path is in the grappling, and if he can't get the takedowns, he's in real big trouble in this fight because I think he is at a very high disadvantage in the striking. He has the power, but from a technicality standpoint and just a sheer kickboxing standpoint, Jesse is the much better striker. This guy has 30 amateur kickboxing fights. He has plenty of MMA experience as well. I think that Jesse dominates a striking battle in this. Obviously, Rafa's got the big right hand. A lot of times, wrestlers have that right hand. They shoot the takedown. The right hand goes over the top. So if Rafa knocks out Jesse, don't be like, oh, I thought he was supposed to be the better striker. Because that stuff happens, right? Rafa needs to wrestle to win the fight. That's his easiest path to victory. Jesse is very opportunistic, though, as you mentioned, with the submission wins. If something is there, he will take advantage of it. So you got to be careful on those shots, on those entries, in the scrambles, but Rafa should be able to do what he does, get the takedowns. I agree he should win, but Jesse is a lot more live and a lot more dangerous than people think. So my pick is Rafa. He should get the takedowns. If you want to live bet this, if Jesse is able to stuff the first couple takedowns, you put your entire 401k on Jesse because he will dominate the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think Rafa Garcia wins striking exchanges too, but we will see what happens. Rafa Garcia, $8,200. This is a pick him in DraftKings, basically. And I'll spend it. I'll spend it. My concern is he could gas, and then that's a problem. But I will spend it. I like $8,200 on Rafa Garcia. I think he's definitely more live for the stoppage. He can do it on his feet or on the ground. What do you think?
I'll probably play him. I'll probably play him. He should wrestle and get the takedowns he needs. And his wrestling, too, he could get 3, 4, 5 in a round really, really quick. So.
Yeah, his cardio is the biggest issue, but even his last fight, his cardio was a lot better than it was before that. So, and then Monkey Knife Fight, 61 strikes to 51 strikes. It's a little bit of a higher line than I like to see, but I don't know what to do with that line because I do think Rafa can blast him. But these are two tough guys. You're going more and more with Monkey Knife Fight?
I just like Jesse's ability. Like I mentioned with Kevin Croom, I like veterans that know how to stay alive in certain situations. I think he's good enough to, even in the grappling, stay alive for those strikes to add up.
Well, if you guys want to play that line, go to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Monkey Knife Fight is daily fantasy, and they will instantly match your deposit up to $100. Give them 50, they give you 50. Give them 100, they give you 100. Take the free money. Take the free 100. Play some of those lines. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. And if you want $50, I'll give you $50 for free. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of the 5 listed betting partners. Make a deposit, and I send you $50 as a thank you. It is all right there on the website, WeWantPicks.com/bets. Next up, at UFC Vegas 51, we have Drakkar Klose taking on Brandon Jenkins. Drakkar Klose is 11-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, making his return after a 2-year layoff. Brandon Jenkins is 15-8 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a loss in his UFC debut. Drakkar Klose is coming off pretty much a 2-year layoff, but he was scheduled to fight Jeremy Stephens a few months ago. He was shoved at the weigh-ins. He got hurt pretty bad, and the fight was actually canceled. Style-wise, Drakkar is a very good wrestler who developed striking later. He was a state champion wrestler who uses his wrestling offense, but he does have some issues defending takedowns. He's got solid boxing with power and speed. Brandon Jenkins is coming off a short notice loss in his UFC debut. For the most part, he's a killer be killed kind of fighter who is willing to put himself in harm's way to chase a stoppage. His nickname is the human highlight reel because he fights at 100%, and he's always...
That's also my... that's also my nickname.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, people in the comment section call you Baby Red, so I thought that's what it was, but I guess it's human highlight reel. Anyway, he's a diverse striker who's busy with...
it's that rudeness they talk about.
He's busy with both kicks and punches. He pressures forward while constantly changing stances and levels. He's a big guy, and he uses his size in his fights. Drakkar Klose, he's a solid prospect who the UFC hasn't really had the chance to push yet, and I think this is their attempt to get him going. I think Drakkar's power, wrestling, and cardio should be enough to finish Brandon Jenkins. But when you have someone as all in as Jenkins and a matchup against somebody coming off a 2-year layoff, it's hard for me to justify the now minus 550. Earlier in the week when I did...
he's minus 600 now.
It's moving. When I did...
He's at minus 800 on one book.
He was minus 400 when I did quick picks on Sunday, and now you said he's minus 6, minus 8. That line's moving. I get it. Drakkar's my pick. I'm picking him. But, man, 2-year layoff against a guy that is just balls to the wall all in, no way. That's a clear no bet for me. Last thing, if Jacob just mentioned, one book has him as minus 600, another minus 800. That's literally what OddsJam does. Go to oddsjam.com.
OddsJam?
What's
OddsJam?
They have links into all the big sports books. They're pulling back the odds live, so it's very easy to spot who's lagging. So maybe the minus 800 is where it should be, but there's a couple lagging at minus 6. Jump on that or whatever the story is. Check them out. They line it up. It's nice and easy, and you jump right in from there. Jakey boy, what do you think?
Yeah, Eric just mentioned it. I love this comment in the chat. Jenkins has that. He's got that dog in him. I see a lot of Marcelo Rojo in Brandon Jenkins, where this guy just shows up and he's going to be there. And it doesn't matter what you hit him with, he's going to respond. And you got to absolutely put him out to get him out of that fight. His last fight, he did lose that decision, or he ended up getting TKO'd against Zhu Rong. That was his UFC debut on just like few days' notice. Like it was like 3 or 4 days. He made weight. He showed up. And I don't know if I've ever seen somebody in the UFC debut look that comfortable, look that confident, the way he was just moving effortlessly around the octagon. And obviously Zhu Rong was able to kind of out-wrestle him, basically. So there is that wrestling kind of vacancy in his game, or at least in that matchup. But if you look at the striking, this dude is dangerous. And you mentioned his nickname, the human highlight reel. He will throw wild stuff at any moment in this fight. And against a guy like Drakkar Klose, who in his last fight was dominating that fight against Dariush, got a little too confident. If he does the same thing against Jenkins, he could have the same outcome. Where if you try and chase that finish against a guy that will just bite down on his mouthpiece and throw wild stuff, that's going to be an issue. Drakkar Klose should not be a minus 500 favorite. I think it should be like a minus 250, if anything. If I'm Drakkar Klose, you go back to your wrestling. He's not going to do it, but just out-wrestle this guy, man. Just out-wrestle him. You can out-wrestle this guy. I don't understand why these fighters just don't stack up their wins. This is made for you to win, so win the fight the easiest way there it is to win, man. If you start striking, you find yourself in some trouble. If I just wrestle him or just eat up his front leg with leg kicks to start, that way the striking is not as dangerous later in the fight. I'm going Drakkar Klose, but if Brandon Jenkins knocks this dude out, I'm not going to be surprised.
No, I agree. The odds are super wide. I thought they were wide when it was 4-1. Now 8-1, 6-1. Definitely super, super wide. Although $9,400 in DraftKings is probably pretty safe. So, because I do think he gets a stoppage, and I probably will spend the $9,400. You don't think so?
No, I love the dog, like they said in the chat. The dog and Brandon Jenkins, Jenkins. He's gonna be there, and he's gonna throw some wild stuff, man. I might play him at $6,800. Honestly, this could get a little crazy.
We'll see. We will see. Monkey Knife Fight, 66 strikes to 44 strikes. What do you think about that?
More. Yeah, man, I don't know, because Klose is kind of a counter puncher, right? Yeah, he kind of waits for you to do stuff, and he just wants to land that power shot. So this could be, I don't know, I don't like it.
Yeah, I think it's probably a less because I do think there's a stoppage. Either Brandon Jenkins catches Drakkar Klose or Drakkar Klose just walks through Brandon Jenkins. It's one of those two outcomes. I don't think it's a close fight in either direction.
Well, if he's smart, he would just kind of wrestle him and hold him for 3 rounds.
No, I guess we will find out. WeWantPicks.com/MKF for Monkey Knife Fight. WeWantPicks.com/bets if you want 50 free dollars. Check it out. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know after you do. I send you $50. It's that simple. There's a form on the website. Easy breezy telekinesis. That was so stupid.
Are you gonna edit that out?
That's definitely not going to make the individual videos.
I pray to God you are. I pray to God you are.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 51, we have Lina Lansberg taking on Pannie Kianzad. Lina Lansberg, 10-5 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, coming off a decision loss 2 years ago. Pannie Kianzad, 15-6 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, coming off a decision loss to Raquel Pennington, and this is a rematch. They fought originally in 2012. Back then, Pannie won a pretty clear fight with volume, but it's literally been 10 years since that fight. So let's just ignore that because so much has changed since then, it really doesn't matter. Lina Lansberg is a very good striker who's coming off a grappling heavy loss to Sarah McMahon 2 years ago. She's a former Muay Thai world champion, and she fights exactly like one. She's got solid elbows, knees, and amazing clinch work. She's working on her ground game, which could be huge because all of her UFC losses were because she could not defend the takedown, including her loss to Cyborg. So Cyborg decided to take Lina Lansberg down instead of just hanging out on the feet and doing what she normally does. Pannie Kianzad is a very good pure boxer, which means she has a great jab. She never just throws one punch at a time. Her footwork is good, and she can outstrike the vast majority of the division. Like Lina, her issue is also the grappling. She gets taken down and doesn't have much to offer from there, but her strike volume is very impressive, and even though she gets taken down in her losses, she does have an impressive 77% takedown defense. Right now, the odds have Pannie at a 4-1 favorite. And that's kind of surprising because this is essentially striker versus striker, and neither woman will be looking for a takedown, which means you got to look at their striking. And Lansberg is a world champion Muay Thai fighter, and Pannie's a very solid boxer. And I'm just surprised that the odds makers are not giving any credit to the world championship credentials. I understand they have already fought already. I understand that Pannie Kianzad won the first time, but that was 10 full years ago, 10 more years of MMA experience for both of these women, and a lot can change since then. I do think Pannie wins this fight. I just think she needs to stick and move for 15 minutes because if she allows any clinch work at all, I think she ends up in some trouble. So this is another fight. I'm picking the favorite, but I do think these odds are pretty wide. What do you think?
Yeah, glad you kind of mentioned that, the clinch work. I think that this is a boring, clinch-heavy fight, and whoever wins the clinch, those clinch exchanges is going to win the fight. So I agree. I think the odds are a little bit crazy. Not that Lansberg is that good to close the odds. I just don't think Pannie is just this world beater that should be a 4 or 5 to 1 favor that's going to finish this fight. I think it's a boring fight. It could come down to a decision, a weird decision, because whoever controls a clinch depends on really who would the judges think, right? There's weird stuff that happens in the clinch a lot of times. Sometimes you'll see the person that's actually winning those exchanges loses rounds because maybe their back's against the cage or whatever it is. Judges are idiots. You know how it goes. So, but Pannie, in those clinch exchanges against Raquel Pennington, she was actually winning some of those, and that's Raquel's game. She ended up losing that fight, obviously, because she lost the majority of those. But some of those fights, some of those exchanges, she was able to switch the exchanges, get Raquel against the cage. I think she does the same thing against Lansberg. You know, she's a Muay Thai champion. To me, she looks a little stiff. She looks a little slow in the striking exchange that I've seen. So I'm going to play the Pannie side. I don't agree with the odds. It's probably more of like a 2 to 1 favorite. But Pannie should win this fight.
Yeah, I agree. We're aligned here. I'm definitely not spending $9,100 because even if she has a dominant performance, it's just going to be strikes. There's not going to be a finish. There's not going to be a takedown. She's not going to justify the $9,100 price tag. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah, it's going to be boring. I could be wrong, but I think this can be very, very boring.
I don't know if it'll be boring. I do think it'll be very one-dimensional, though.
I think it's going to be boring.
Okay. And then Monkey Knife Fight, 56 to 106. Honestly, it probably is a more. 106 is such an enormous number, but she's gotten past that before. And I don't see any grappling from either one of them. I think it's just strike, strike, strike. Certainly some clinch work could mess with it a little bit, but I still think, she's just so busy. I think she can get past 106, and I have no problem with Lina Lansberg getting past 56. What do you think?
You know how WWE, like when the fight, like especially the older WWE or WWC or WWF or whatever it is, like they would start off the initial with the collar, they both do the collar ties on each other, and they'd walk around the ring like that for like the first 30 seconds of the match. That's going to be this for 15 minutes. They're just going to hold each other in the clinch for 15 minutes. I don't like the 56, but I play less on the 106.
All right, so more or less for you, the Monkey Knife Fight line is interesting, but they have all sorts of prop games in there where you don't need to play just this line. They take random fighters and put them together, so check it out. You might get Pannie versus somebody else, and it's an easy less play if you want to do that. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit, and if you want some money to make a deposit with, WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let us know after you do, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up at UFC Vegas 51, we have Devin Clark taking on William Knight. Devin Clark, 12-6 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, riding a 2-fight skid. He's taking on William Knight, 11-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that loss to Maxim Grishin where he stepped up on short notice but missed weight. This fight is at heavyweight. These are 2 light heavyweights that are going up to heavyweight to fight each other, but the fight is at heavyweight. And Devin Clark is a solid grappler with well-rounded striking game. He doesn't have the best chin, but he has solid footwork and heavy hands. He will throw head kicks while moving forward, but ultimately he's looking to crowd his opponents so he can take them down. Once he takes them down, he's looking to strike and work for the TKO more than he's looking for a submission. William Knight is coming off a tough fight with Maxim Grishin where he missed weight by 12 pounds. The weight miss is why it seems that he's moving up to heavyweight now, and he's not going to be the tallest guy in the division, but I imagine he will still be one of the fastest and hardest hitting guys even at
Parental
heavyweight.
advisory.
Technique-wise, William is a heavy-handed striker with solid wrestling and cardio. He averages more than 2 takedowns per fight, but only has a 45% takedown defense. We've seen him go 15 minutes without slowing down, and we've also seen him sleep people inside of a minute. It's an interesting matchup because the fight is at heavyweight, but both of these guys are light heavyweights. So any analysis on how William's going to look against the bigger heavyweights in the division is kind of pointless. I also think that not cutting weight does matter because he'll absolutely be the bigger guy in the cage. He should be faster. He should be hitting harder. And he does have his own wrestling. And I think he gets it done. But again, the not cutting weight concerns me because when you're not cutting weight, you're not forcing yourself to maintain a certain level. You're not doing certain things. And if you look at his Instagram, this dude is lifting absurd amounts of weight. Absurd amounts of weight. He's putting on big, clean muscle. And if he doesn't have to worry about staying
you talking
under...
about, you talking about me?
I'm talking about William Knight. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I thought you were talking about me.
Yeah, no, my bad. And anyway, I'm worried he's going to put on too much muscle, sacrifice some of the cardio, and the cardio is what actually separates him from some of the other power punchers. But anyway, I like William Knight here literally because of the power in his hands, and there will definitely be some grappling exchanges. He can certainly be out-grappled, but if he can avoid some of those takedowns, send some big power the other way, I can see it happening. And before I let you go, Joey Todoro with the $10 super chat. Another great breakdown. Everyone listen up to the best of the best. And if you haven't joined the family, it's a great time to do so. And he's talking about becoming a member. Click the join button. Joe, thank you so much. You do more for this community than you could ever imagine. Jakey boy, what do you think of your former lock of the week who really let you down with that weight miss?
Yeah, ended up in a draw. I told you guys before the fight, if you're going to miss by 20 pounds or whatever it was no longer my lock of the week. So that's the draw and the lock of the week. Thank you again, Joey T, my dude Joey T. Here's what worries me about William Knight was, after that weight miss, this dude, I don't want to, this is very disrespectful, but he kind of like is a mental midget, the way he reacted to that fight, because he was posting every single, like, okay, you missed weight, you lost the fight, just move on. He was posting like every single day and then deleting posts and posting for like 3 straight weeks. Like, nobody's going to work hard. I'm going to get down my weight down. I'm going to be the biggest, baddest 205 you've ever seen. Oh, son, he's fighting heavy. What the hell happened, William Knight? He like everything was just dedicated to 205. I'm gonna dedicate myself. I'm gonna work on my diet, and now he's a heavyweight. I don't understand what the hell happened at that whole like motivation, all these motivational posts. 3 weeks later, he all of a sudden he's a heavyweight. I think the weight, what he comes into is gonna, like you were kind of alluding to it. You mentioned it. If he comes in and shows up on the scale 230, right? 230, 240-ish. That's kind of his natural weight. He talked about how he has to cut down from around 230 to 205. It was a tough weight cut. So if he is around 230 or 240, you mentioned that means that he's in the gym still doing what he's doing and didn't really, I guess, let himself go. But if he shows up on Friday and he is 250, 255, something like that, that is going to be a bad sign, in my opinion, to the training camp that William Knight has had in this fight, or leading up to this fight. And honestly, he's a KO or bust guy. I don't know at his size if he's really going to be able to get those takedowns that he needs. Obviously, Devin Clark
beat Alonzo Menafield by decision.
Yeah, he didn't really get the takedowns. There was a few takedowns in that fight, but it was really more the striking, whatever. Yeah, well, okay, you talk about Ryan Hall all the time. All he do is submission, but he has more decision wins in the striking than I. Let's look up Ryan Hall. Is 11? He has. I'm looking at it right now. 3 decision wins. Okay, anyway, I honestly don't think. I love William Knight. He was a lock of the week. I think he's a KO bust guy. I don't think he's that great of a fighter. I don't think he's that good of a wrestler. We've seen him on his back for an entire fight before. Devin Clark is an actual, real, well-rounded mixed martial artist who is tough as shit, man. He got his ass beat against Yan Kutalaba and came out and was still throwing bombs and still competing in that fight. And his dad is one of the best dudes in the world. In his corner, he's the guy that you'll hear yelling. This is at the Apex. Come on, Dad. I can't even get the deepest voice in the world, the most motivating voice you could ever hear. Come on, Devin. Finish up, Devin. I love the family. I love Devin Clark. I'm going Devin Clark all the way in this matchup. If William Knight gets a Hail Mary knockout, I'm not going to be surprised. I'll see how he looks on Friday, maybe change my mind, but I'm going Devin Clark.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the William Knight side because I think, he has his own wrestling. If he keeps his cardio, keeps his speed, all of that, I think he can definitely be dangerous. But I also am going to be paying attention to the scales because I completely agree. I mentioned he's working out like crazy. One of his Instagrams went viral, and I forget what the weight was, so I'm not even going to throw a number out there. But it was an enormous amount of weight that he just casually put up. And that was the headline, was MMA fighter casually puts up, and then whatever the weight was. No. And
I forgot too that one of his posts after the fight, because remember that last fight, he looked clueless. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he looked awful in that last fight, along with the weight miss. And he said, like, I'm proud of my performance. I put on a good show. It's like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Well, anyway, I will also be watching the weigh-ins. I think he wins, but you nailed it. If he's 255, 260, shredded to all hell, he's not my pick anymore, because then he's too big and he will slow down, because what makes him unique is how hard he hits, how fast he is, and he has cardio. That's what makes him unique. You remove the cardio from that equation, it's a very different fighter. So anyway, he's probably solid. I mean, DraftKings has him as a good size underdog here. He's probably solid at $7,600 if you are on the William Knight side and you do think he gets a knockout. You're going to spend the $8,600 on Devin Clark?
I didn't say that.
Well, are you okay? Are you going to spend the $8,600 on Devin Clark?
No.
Okay, well, great. And Monkey Knife Fight, I don't love this line at all, because this could be a flash knockout. It could be a full 3-round beating. I don't like the flash knockout at all, or the Monkey Knife Fight line at all. What do you think?
Less.
Okay. Anyway, if you want to take a stab at it, WeWantPicks.com/MKF. And if you want $50 free, WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let us know after you do, and we'll send you $50 as a thank you. Then we have the return of Pat Sabatini. We have Pat Sabatini taking on TJ Laramie. Pat Sabatini, 16-3 overall, 5-0 in his last 5. TJ Laramie, 12-4 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and he's coming back after a year layoff. And we love Pat Sabatini here. We've picked him to win in every single one of the fights that we've broken down, and so far, that has been working for us. Jacob had him as a lock of the week, which also hit. He's a very good wrestler with solid pressure when he's on top. His grappling is incredible, and he's always live for a submission. In his fight against Jamal Emmers, he was dropped hard, and he somehow kept the lights on, and he pulled off an awesome submission. And it's easy to look at that fight and say that his striking isn't good, but it actually is pretty good. He moves really well. He controls range with his in and out bouncing. His last fight out was a much heavier grappling-based fight where he had 5 takedowns and 11 minutes of control time against Tucker Lutz, who historically had solid takedown defense. TJ Laramie is a very well-rounded fighter with dangerous kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. He has legitimate power in his hands, and he could put your lights out with one punch. He has dangerous knees when he's inside the pocket and head kicks when he's outside of it. Oh, what the hell did I just do?
Oh my God, he lost his nose. The teleprompter went out.
The teleprompter went out.
Holy
we'll
shit.
do it live.
Did you see the frozen look on his face? He had no idea what the hell to do.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ron Burgundy. He prefers to strike, but he works in double leg takedowns really well, and he can scramble into submissions from there. And it's a really fun fight. It's a fantastic main card opener. Both guys are very well rounded, but have different approaches. Pat is looking to use his striking to set up takedowns, and TJ is using his striking to shut your lights off. Pat is looking to use his grappling to submit you, and TJ is using his grappling to win the round. Both guys are finishers, but go about it very differently. The odds have Pat Sabatini as a massive, more than 4-1 favorite. I do think those odds are a little bit wide, though, because I think it's because TJ Laramie's coming off that year layoff, and he was submitted in the first round of that fight, and obviously Pat Sabatini is such a dangerous jiu-jitsu guy. I do think the odds are a little wide because TJ is a live dog. He's got really good striking, solid takedown defense, but Pat Sabatini is absolutely the pick. I just, 4-1 against somebody as dangerous as TJ, I feel like that's a little wide, but Pat Sabatini is 100% the pick. And what do you think? I know he's been your lock of the week in the past, and you can't do a favorite as a lock of the week.
He actually started off this entire run. We started off with Pat Sabatini back in, what was his last fight? In November. So we started with Pat Sabatini. We refocused, and he actually started off this whole trend that we're now 11-4-1, picking all underdogs. So I got to credit Pat Sabatini. That's my Dude, I love Pat Sabatini. There's Ryan Hall, and there is Pat Sabatini. And it is not even 1-2. It is 1A and 1B. I love Pat Sabatini. This dude is going to, if he doesn't become a champion, he is going to definitely compete for a championship in the featherweight division. I think he absolutely dominates this fight, man. This thing is tailor-made for him. TJ, I don't know why. Do we understand why he's a featherweight? That guy should be a 125er, shouldn't he? He is crazy small even for the featherweight division. I think he's like a 135er at least coming up. Pat Sabatini, I mean, this was tailor-made for him to win. I put 4 units on inside the distance. He should have no issues in this fight. And with that said, he came at the most perfect time in my life.
You can't make him your lock of the week.
Stop. He came at the most perfect time in my life because lock of the week last week was a little rough. We're not going to talk about Mickey. Kay Hansen was dominating that first round, was looking great. Mickey kind of did what he does sometimes. And then we had Mark Madsen with the win. So we went 1-2 last week, but we're still 11-4-1, picking all underdogs except for Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall will always be the lock of the week when he's fighting, just like Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini will always be the lock of the week. I love Pat Sabatini. I don't care he's a 400 favorite. He is the lock of the week to get us on a 2-fight winning streak. Back in it. Pat Sabatini is going to take all my money, and it's easy money. Lock of the week. If he loses, I don't know. There's no way he should lose this fight. No way.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going the safe route. That's for sure. Kind of defeating the whole
odds there. What,
kind of defeating the whole purpose of the lock of the week, but whatever you do.
No, this is the most typical. Every single other show, they'll be like, "Yeah, the lock last week is," and it's like a 700. Like last week, like, "Oh, the lock of the week is Volkanovski." So make sure you put your money on an 800 favorite.
Anyway, you like froze right when you were doing that stupid face. So anyway, I agree. Pat Sabatini should win. He's probably worth $9,200. I can't find myself bet, and maybe I'm too conservative. That's a lot. Those are wide odds.
Well, I did inside the distance. I think it's plus 135, and I think he has no issues finishing TJ.
Well, we've seen with his grappling, he has no issues finishing a lot of people. What do you think of the monkey knife fight? It probably is less because listen, Pat's last fight very grappling heavy. And I think that's what he's going to do here. And I think he should do that here. He's had a lot of success with that. And I think that Jamal Emmer's knockdown sort of, realigned a few of his priorities. Because he does have good technical striking. But I think he's sort of like, okay, why mess with that if I don't need to?
Exactly. If you're a lot of these grapplers and a lot of these wrestlers like to try and practice their striking in live fights. Don't do that. And actually, Pat Sabatini against Jamal Emmer's almost got in trouble doing that. He got knocked down and ended up getting a submission out of it. Patty, I work on your striking in training camp, at home, in your gym. Take this dude down, submit him. Let's move on. I actually think after this fight, I think Pat Sabatini should fight either Ryan Hall or Bryce Mitchell. I think those would be 2 fantastic fights to really test the wrestling and submission abilities of Pat Sabatini. I'd like to see him fight either one of those guys.
It'd be a nice little run, honestly, after this fight. That's a lot of wins. A couple finishes in there. I mean, he's looked really good. So we'll see what happens. Pat Sabatini, both of our picks. And if you want 50 free bucks, go to wewantpicks.com/bet. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know after you do. And we send you $50 free. Next up at UFC Vegas 51, we have Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Wu Yanan. Mayra Bueno Silva is a pretty good striker with solid power and good kicks. She likes charging forward and throwing from there. She's a good grappler, and I imagine she gets picked apart on her feet and then looks to grapple against somebody as good as Wu Yanan, but we'll break her down in a second. The problem is she doesn't have very good wrestling, so even if she wants to get into a ground and grappling game, I'm not sure that she can because she can't dictate the wrestling. Wu Yanan is a very good Muay Thai striker who has been grappling if she needs it as well. She moves well and has good volume. She doesn't have a ton of power, but she has the footwork, cardio, and enough technical skills to outstrike and outdecision the unranked women in this division. And if you look at the records, it's interesting because Wu Yanan is 12-4 overall. She's only 2-3 in her last 5. She is on a 2-fight skid, but that's a lot of experience for somebody that you don't hear about too often, because Mayra Bueno Silva comes up in every single breakdown. She's only 7-2. She's 2-1 in her last 5. She's coming off a loss to Manon Farrow. And again, we mention her name all the time. I'm constantly using her in other people's breakdowns. And she's only 3-3 in the UFC, but all 3 of those losses have held up really well. And they're to legitimate contenders. She lost a wrestling match to Montana De La Rosa, to Marina Moroz, and Manon Farrow. And it seems like the UFC is just sort of using her as the measuring bar to test some of these prospects. And I don't think she'll have any issues sort of blowing through this test. And unfortunately for Wu Yanan, I think this is probably it for her UFC run. I see Mayra Bueno Silva just pretty much doing whatever she wants to do. It will likely be a decision, but she will dominate on her feet. If it ends up on the ground, she should dominate there as well. But I mentioned she doesn't necessarily have the wrestling to get it there, but I think she's just literally better everywhere. So it's a surprising matchup. I think the UFC is literally just like, all right, Wu, here you go. If you lose, you're out. And I think she does lose. What do you think, Jake?
I see it a little bit different. I definitely think Bueno Silva is the play, but Wu, I think, has the wrestling advantage, and I think that's really her only path to victory is to get the takedowns that she needs and try to control Bueno Silva on the ground. I don't really see it happening. Bueno Silva is tough as shit, man. And you know what? I just realized that she comes from, I always called it shoot boxing. In Brazil, a lot of the big, powerful, aggressive strikers. We saw it last week with was it Santos?
Santos.
Was that a shoot? And they talked.
Shoot
Shoot the box. I didn't know it was shoot the. I always call it shoot boxing, but shoot the box. So she's out of that same shoot the box training camp, and those are known for being very tenacity, aggressive strikers, and she is the exact example of that against Manon. That loss looks great now because Manon is starting to run through people. She actually landed 59. I almost said 69%. What a Freudian slip that was. She landed 59% of her strikes against Manon, and Manon is a person that it's kind of hard to hit. And I know a lot of those were kind of in the grappling and in the clinching and stuff like that, but she was landing some good strikes against Manon, who is a karate-style fighter. Normally does some Muay Thai stuff as well, but it's pretty hard to hit. And she was landing strikes against her and doing pretty well, and always moving forward no matter what. I think she should dominate this fight. I understand why the odds are the way they are, minus 400. If we was able to get some takedowns, things could get a little bit interesting, but yeah, Bueno Silva is definitely the play in this matchup.
Yeah, I think we're aligned on that, as are the odds makers. Yanan Wu or Wu Yanan does have some busy striking, and she could potentially stick, move, run around, but I doubt that will happen. DraftKings, $9,300. You got to hope for a stoppage, and I don't think there's a stoppage. What do you think?
I think there could be a stoppage. I
think
I don't know if I'm going to play it, but we'll see how everything lines up. She might be worth it in like a multi-entry lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to spend it, but it's a weird card with some weird pricing. And I do like the more and more monkey knife fight. I don't think there's much grappling. I think it's a lot of striking, and I think if you look at the stats in the previous slide, they have negative striking differentials, which means they're both hit a ton. So I think they just hit each other in the face a lot. And I think it's more and more for monkey knife fight. What do you think?
Yeah. Sorry.
Are you laughing at that comment that says mommy?
Yeah. I read it and I tried to hold myself together, and then I just started dying laughing. I don't know what you said. And yeah, if it comes down to toughness, I'll take Bueno Silva all day.
Yeah, and there's a comment that broke Jacob. If you want 50 free bucks, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let us know after you do, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's funny because you read it as like, mommy. Like, just
I know. That's why in my head. It literally was like right when you went to me, I read it, and then I looked up, and I was like, what did I just read? Oh, God.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Next up, at UFC Vegas 51, we have Miguel Baeza taking on Andre Filo. Miguel Baeza, 10-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, riding a 2-fight skid. Andre Filo, 14-4 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a loss in his UFC debut. Andre Filo's a striker with a nice double jab, heavy kicks, and solid takedowns when he needs them. He has legitimate power in his hands, but I would say his kicks are his biggest asset. He will kick your legs, your body, and your head. He'll mix up inside and outside leg kicks, and he uses them really well. His issue, though, is his defense needs work. Michel Pereira doubled his strikes in his last fight, and before his run in the UFC, Chris Curtis dropped him multiple times and hit him with every single jab or straight that he threw. Miguel Baez is a very good technical striker with solid BJJ. He's coming off 2 losses, but he is making improvements, and he has solid fight IQ. He does a really good job using his kicks to take away his opponent's legs and wear down their cardio. He's very tough, but he does have some chin issues. Chaos Williams was the first to actually knock him out, but we have seen him rocked in the past. And Jacob, you and I got into a literal screaming match over his chin.
I wanted to bring that. I was wondering if you remembered that because that was.
I remembered that.
Yeah, I figured he would because I was on the. The wrong side. There was you said he's chinny.
I said he has chin issues.
He's not chinny. He's not. And my whole thing was he's never been knocked out. Yeah, he gets hit, but he's never been. He just gets flatlined by Williams. Jesus Christ, what a joke.
I loved when that happened. And it's easy to look at the result of that Chaos Williams fight and assume Baeza was dominated.
Kalen. Oh, it is
What?
Chaos. Sorry. I don't. You said Chaos. I was like, no, it's Kalen. Sorry.
Anyway, you could look at that and say, well, Miguel Baeza was dominated, but he really wasn't. He looked really good in that fight up until the knockout. He was very dangerous on the ground as well. He landed lots of nice shots. Like, he looked good leading up to that loss. And the same can be said about Filo. While he was essentially dominated by Pereira, but if you look at his other fights, he is better than that one Pereira fight. He has an incredible chin. He's got solid power. And this should be a really fun fight to watch, and it could be fireworks on the feet. I do think Baeza's more technical striking and his grappling will be the difference. So Baeza's the pick, but he needs to avoid Filo's power because some of these people, when their chin goes, it goes. And now, he could have gone from incredible chin to just knockout after knockout. But I like Baeza here. If you go back, watch that Chaos Williams fight. He looked really good. I had picked Chaos Williams, and I was nervous up until that knockout because Baeza looked pretty solid. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he is the better fighter in this matchup, and he's going to be more technical and more well-rounded, really, than pretty much everyone that he fights. But the issue is, a lot of times he does have his hands down. Now we realized he's a little chinny, right? I mean, he is a little chinny, and if you hit him in the right spot, we've seen him get dropped time and time again, but he always came back from those drops, and that was my argument, right? Was, yeah, he gets knocked down, but he's always there. I mean, he gets clipped a little, but then he comes back and he wins the striking exchanges. Look how many times he gets hit. I mean, both these guys, I think you mentioned in your breakdown, but he gets hit a lot, but when he gets hit, he gets knocked down, and now he's getting knocked out, where Andre Filo, if you watch that Michel Pereira fight, was getting clobbered, but was just eating it, man. He was just eating. Michel Pereira hits like a fucking truck. So if he's able to withstand those shots and was giving shots back on his own, because that second round was wild against Michel Pereira. He was trying to finish that fight, could not finish Andre. I think that this honestly is just a matchup of whose chin's better. And I know that I was going... I had my boys back in Miguel Baeza before his last fight that he had a decent chin, but I can't trust anymore, man. He is the better fighter in this matchup. But if this is just a slugfest, which I think it actually turns into, I've seen Andre's chin hold up. I've seen Baeza's not. Baeza is the better fighter in this matchup. I'm taking the chin and Andre. And honestly, I kind of hope I'm wrong. I like Miguel Baeza. I think he's good for the division and the UFC. He's a fun guy to watch, but I got to take Andre.
Well, it didn't take you long to just bail on the guy after screaming at me in that breakdown.
You were 100% right, Angelo. I couldn't believe it. It was the first time you were right and the last time you were right, but it was well done to you.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. $8,700 in DraftKings. His chin does make me nervous because Andre Filo does have a solid chin, but he's so stupid hittable. And Miguel Baeza is very good. 87. I wish he was 83. 83, I'd snatch it up all day. 87, I'll take a look, and he might end up in my lineup because there's a lot of people I don't love in this DraftKings. But I also do think it's a more and more. I think these guys go at it for a little bit, and The strikes are basically even. I think it's almost an even fight. I like Baeza to win, but I don't think he should be a 2-1 favorite. So I think more a Monkey Knife Fight. What do you think of DraftKings and Monkey Knife Fight?
DraftKings, Andre is probably going to be in my lineup. Monkey Knife Fight, probably a more. Because Baeza's slick, man. That's the reason why he is chinny, but he is slick in his movement, so he doesn't get hit a ton. But when he gets hit, it's going to be an issue in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. And but we both agree on the more with Monkey Knife Fight. Check that out at WeWantPicks.com/MKF. And if you want $50 free, 50 for free from us to you, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let us know after you do, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up, at UFC Vegas 51, we have the co-main event of the evening, and this might be one of the weirdest co-main events we've had in a very long time.
I actually thought that it was like the Contender Series finale or something, because I was like, what? Why is this the co-main and these two contenders? I thought maybe it was like to determine the winner of the show or something. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I agree, it's very weird.
Yeah, it's an odd... Listen, it actually should be a really fun fight. They're two really solid prospects, but I don't know why it's the co-main event, and I don't know why they matched them up together either. These are two really good prospects. Why would you ruin one of their UFC trajectories this early on? But we have Caio Borralho taking on Gadzi Omar Gadjev. And Caio Borralho, 10-1 overall. He's 5-0 in his last 5, coming off his second win on the Contender Series. He didn't get signed the first time. They made him fight a second time, and then he finally got signed. And then Gadzi, whose last name I'm not going to pronounce, is 13-0 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, coming off a stoppage win on the Contender Series. And Caio Borralho is a slick grappler with slick submissions and very well-timed takedowns. He has a long stance and very loose feet when he explodes into double legs, 4 takedowns. When he hits the ground, it's clear that he's an accomplished grappler with how he moves, how he controls on tops, how he ties up your legs with his legs. And he has belts in both judo and jiu-jitsu, and he uses all of those techniques in his fights. He has an awesome head kick combo on Contender Series that led to a stoppage, but outside of that fight, his striking could use some work. So don't go by that fight and assume he's just this wild knockout artist. Gadzi, last name I'm not going to pronounce, is a well-rounded guy, but predominantly a wrestler. On his feet, he's an okay boxer, but he does have very real power. He'll plot forward and string together combinations before looking for a takedown. He'll snatch up singles or doubles, and he has no issues picking them both up in the air. What I love about his wrestling style is that as soon as he hits the mat, he's immediately transitioning to the next position, and he starts just pounding away. He has great submissions, but he's mostly looking to ground and pound, and he has plenty of cardio despite most of his fights being stoppages. And it's a battle of the middleweight prospects. Both of these guys look to have bright futures, and I'm very surprised the UFC is matching them up this early in their careers. The middleweight division has actually turned out to be one of the more tough divisions in the UFC, and whoever the winner is here is probably going to complicate that picture. Right now, the odds have Gadzi as a slight favorite, and I agree with that. I think Caio's the better athlete and definitely the better grappler, but Gadzi has more power, better wrestling, better cardio, and he can really keep a wrestling pace. So I like Gadzi to push forward, get takedowns, and avoid the submissions for a decision win. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I don't think Borralho is really that good. I mean, when I watch him fight, I don't see anything spectacular. He's got that weird karate stance, hands low, but his strikes are like sloppy out of the stance. It's not like a precise karate style guy that you would like to see with those sharp kicks and the strikes over the top. And there was one point in that Contender Series fight where he was trying to use his footwork to get out of a situation, but he couldn't. And the guy just like turned his back and ran away from his opponent. He didn't get hit. It wasn't like he was hurt. He just like messed up his footwork and literally just turned around and just started running with his head ducked. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? I have never seen anything like that from a top level guy. I think this is simply Gadzi is a much better fighter. he should be able to just get the takedowns and win the fight. But even the striking, maybe the weird karate stance gives us some issues. Even with that, the takedowns are a little bit awkward with the karate guy. But aside from like a weird flying knee out of this karate stance on an entry, I think Gazi should absolutely dominate this fight. I'd see him as like a minus 250 in my mind. Maybe I'm not seeing the right things in Barala. Maybe I'm watching the wrong fights. But when I watched him, I'm like, this guy's 10-1? I mean, I don't know. I'm going Gazi.
Yeah, I mean, so we're both aligned on the pick, and you know what? I thought this was, I don't want to say close, but I thought it was kind of close. But yeah, I mean, minus 140.
Do we know what his neck tattoo says? It says
I'm trying to read it. I can't tell if it's freedom. It's not in English, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I'm very multilingual, so.
Okay. I mean, Gazi might be worth a money line bet.
It says free spirit. Which there's nothing that says free spirit more than a tattoo across your neck that says free spirit.
He is not a conformist, so that is absolutely 100% spot on. I do like $8,400 for Gazi because 5 points per takedown. That's going to add up. What do you think?
The best neck tattoo in the entire world is on The Internship, with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. And Will Ferrell has that cameo in there where he was the mattress salesman. And he has this wild neck tattoo in a different language. And like, what does that even say? He says, it says, make reasonable choices. So he has a neck tattoo in a different language that says, make reasonable choices. I thought that writing was incredible. What'd you ask me? I don't know what you asked me.
DraftKings.
Yeah, I'm taking Gazi for sure.
Yeah, that's a great price. And like somebody just said in the comment section, you don't bet against undefeated Russian wrestlers. Monkey knife fight? I don't know. I'm not touching it.
Except for Tagir.
Yeah, he wasn't undefeated. I don't know. I'm not touching the monkey knife fight line. 54 to 56. It's too close and too high. Especially because Kaio's just going to wrestle, I imagine. What do you think?
Gazi?
Sorry, Kyle's going to grapple. I mean, he's not going to be striking on bottom. He's going to be.
He's not going to have. He's not going. I don't think he's going to have an issue. I mean, he's not going to have a choice rather in what he wants to do in this fight. It's going to be whatever Gazi wants to do in this fight, and it's probably going to be Kyle on his back and struggling to survive.
Okay.
Less.
This is a really funny comment, Fernando. I'll pin it. I'm so broke. If someone tried to rob me, they would only be practicing. That's pretty funny.
I saw I just joined TikTok, and I saw a funny TikTok of a girl sitting on the couch, and a guy starts coming through the window. She's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm looking for money." She goes, "I'll help you look for it."
I don't get it.
He's looking for money, and she's the owner of the house.
Yeah,
Jesus
she needs
Christ.
him to find it. Yeah, I got it. Of all the TikToks in all the world, that's the one you reference on live TV.
I think it was like one of the first ones I saw.
If you want
it doesn't
50 free bucks, WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. Let us know after you do. We send you $50. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Next up at UFC Vegas 51, we have the main event of the evening. We have Vicente Luque taking on Belal Muhammad, and this is a rematch. And I would bet my life that 90% of you did not know that this was a rematch until you started watching all these breakdown videos. But it is a rematch. Vicente Luque, 21-7 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a win over Michael Chiesa. Belal Muhammad, 20-3 overall, 4-0-1 in his last 5, coming off the dominant win over Wonder Boy. These guys fought back in 2016. Vicente Luque won by knockout in under a minute and a half. A lot has happened since then. Belal has beaten 10 guys in the UFC, including Tim Means, Wonderboy Thompson, and Damian Maia. Luque has also strung together 10 wins since then, including against Michael Chiesa and Tyron Woodley. And people hated my pick in this fight, but let me get to it. I got Vicente Luque's pretty... What?
No, I haven't watched any of your stuff, and I swear to God, if you pick Belal...
Okay, well, you're just going to have to listen and wait. Vicente Luque is pretty good everywhere. He has power in his hands, solid wrestling defense, and fantastic submissions if it gets to the ground. At the end of the day, he is a striker, though, and he's looking to bang it out on his feet. His 64% takedown defense might seem low, but he has only been taken down 4 times since 2017, and he won all of those fights by stoppage. Belal Muhammad is coming off a fantastic win over Wonderboy Thompson, where he had 7 takedowns. He spent the majority of his career as a non-stop wrestler, but he has developed striking with what seems to be pretty good power, and he's got solid enough fight IQ to know when he should wrestle and when he should strike. I mentioned he wrestled Wonderboy, but he knew that he needed to strike with Demian Maia and Diego Lima, and he ended up outstriking both of them 2-1. These odds have Vicente Luque as almost a 2-1 favorite on certain books, and I understand where they're coming from because he's a finisher, he's got power in his hands, and he's got nasty submissions. But I'm picking Belal Muhammad here, Jakey boy. I'm going with Belal. If you watch Luque versus Chiesa took him down pretty easily, took his back, and he was going to submit Luque if he didn't just get too aggressive and lose the position. Like, Michael Chiesa made Vicente Luque look like a bum in the beginning of that fight, and it wasn't until he screwed up. Vicente didn't make something happen. Michael Chiesa screwed up. And then Vicente Luque, to his credit, capitalized from that and won from there. So I think Luque will be dangerous on his feet, but I like Belal to non-stop wrestler. He will have the proper composure when it hits the ground, and instead of making mistakes, he's just going to take his time, not chase a finish, and just dominate the minutes, takedown after takedown. I love Belal Muhammad here. I think he gets it done. And you're shaking your head like I'm stupid. Go watch the first couple of minutes of the Michael Chiesa fight. Michael Chiesa made Vicente Luque look like an absolute bum. And then Michael Chiesa messed up. He messed up. Vicente Luque didn't make it happen.
Do you hear
Michael
yourself
Chiesa
like you're repeating yourself because you're trying to convince yourself of your own
I'm
pick?
convinced. I'm convinced.
You literally just repeated yourself to try and convince yourself.
Yeah, because
of your own pick.
it's
Michael
not getting
Chiesa.
your
Excuse
stupid
me.
ass head.
Excuse me. Don't be rude. The comments are over. We have to delete 20 comments a week about how rude you are to me. Michael Chiesa is like one of the best grapplers in this division. Doesn't he have like one of the the highest submission rate in this division? He's a much better all around MMA grappler than Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad can wrestle, but he wrestles Stephen Thompson. Before I get into it, the best thing to ever happen to Belal Muhammad was getting poked in the eye by Leon Edwards, because he was going to get destroyed in that fight. He was already getting beat up in the first round, then the eye poke happened. He was on his way to getting destroyed and embarrassed by Leon Edwards in that fight, and then he was going to go in a different direction in his career. Instead, he got eye poked. They got the no contest. Then they put him against Demian Maia. He outstruck Demian Maia. A lot of people outstrike Demian Maia. Then they put him against Stephen Thompson. He out-wrestles Stephen Thompson. That happens against the karate guy that doesn't know how to wrestle. So those 2 wins, why they look great, don't tell me a lot about Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad's on this nice little streak. He is a good wrestler. He is a good striker. But I don't see anywhere where he is better than Vicente Luque in this matchup. Not in the striking, not in the wrestling, not in the grappling.
Not in the wrestling?
This is
He's not a better wrestler than Vicente
excuse
Luque?
me.
That's what I thought.
Vicente Luque is better everywhere. He's probably going to finish this fight. If Belal Muhammad thinks his path is out wrestling Vicente Luque, he is in a world of hurt. He's going to get submitted. I don't see anywhere where Belal Muhammad wins this fight. I don't think he's that good. Maybe he surprised me. Congratulations on outstriking Demian Maia. Congratulations on out-wrestling Stephen Thompson. You just ran into some issues with Vicente Luque. He's going to dominate this fight.
It's so the Vicente Luque people, first of all, he's a very good fighter. I'm not trying to say he isn't. I'm saying styles make fights. We've seen him taken down, no problem. We've seen him give up positions, no problem. And Belal Muhammad will do exactly that. And somebody was arguing with me in the comments, and then I stopped arguing because once you start calling me names, it's my channel. I don't need to waste my time talking to you. And he was arguing with me, talking about, Belal Muhammad beat Wonderboy. What a joke. And I was like, so what's Vicente Luque's big win? Nico Price. Nico Price is Vicente Luque's big win. He was losing
he submitted
that
Tyron
fight.
Woodley. So
Oh, the Tyron Woodley who hasn't won a single fight in 10 years.
He won a split decision versus Mike Perry.
Okay. Mike Berry, who's not in the
Listen,
UFC.
I think Bilal Muhammad just absolutely just dominates this fight. His wrestling is way too good. His striking is much slicker than Vicente Luque. He's got the power advantage. I see
Exactly.
Bilal Muhammad taking this dude down and just dominating this fight. I'm Bilal Muhammad all the way.
Exactly. And look, even Marshall Maya here saying it's not just the name. What did Luque do to those people? What did he do? He is getting smoked and then pulled off a win. Nico Price was dominating Vicente Luque, dominating him. And then he lost. Nico Price is nothing in the division other than incredibly fun. He was getting dominated by Michael Chiesa, was able to pull it off. So I am not saying Vicente Luque is not a good fighter. He's a very good fighter, and this guy is stupid dangerous. I'm just saying styles make fights. I think Bilal Muhammad is smart enough to non-stop wrestle,
Vicente Luque
keep his head
beat
down,
a
and make
guy
it happen.
named Andre Playboy. Literally, his last name is Playboy. What an
Look at you
incredible
just
life he must
digging,
live.
just digging for a win that holds up.
That guy finished Vicente Luque started and finishes this guy's career 0-1 lifetime.
So,
He
all right,
fought
so
Vicente
people-
Luque and said, I don't want to be a fighter anymore. That's how good Vicente Luque is. He's ending careers from the jump. His very first pro fight, he ended a man's career.
All right, so to be clear, your pick is Vicente Luque. Some people did
100%.
not get this. Did
Yeah,
not get the
100%.
sarcasm when you flipped.
Bilal is not very good.
Okay, well, we completely disagree, and we should bet. Are we going to throw $100 on this one? I get 100, you get 50.
I have been in contact with some bankruptcy lawyers from the weekend. I need to see what they say about my finances, but yeah, I would love to. I would love to bet a pending bet based on how much cash I have available to me by Saturday.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm all over Bilal Muhammad. You're on Vicente Luque.
Yeah, let's
You
do
like
100. Let's
Luque
do
enough?
100.
Okay. I get, but 2-1 for me. Deal.
Right, you get 100, I get 50.
Deal.
Yeah,
Vicente
those odds
Luque.
are a little bit wider than
Hey,
your
we
odds.
had deal was made. Vicente
I
Luque.
didn't say deal. I just put it out there, and then you said deal.
Okay.
I didn't. 75 and 50. Wait,
You made the offer. I accepted the offer. Then it's done. Anyway, Vicente Luque, you spending $8,500 on DraftKings?
oh hell yeah.
Okay. I am not. I'm going 7,700. And what do you think of Monkey Knife Fight? 118 strikes to 91 strikes.
Luque is just gonna flatline this dude inside of 34 seconds.
It's a 5-round fight, so it may be more, but Vicente will be the one struggling to get to 118 because I just see a lot of grappling from Bilal Muhammad. But if you feel strongly about that Monkey Knife Fight line, go to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit up to $100. And if you want $50 $50 for free, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, let us know after you do, and we will send you $50 as a thank you. Any parting words, Jacob?
No, I'm excited to extend the lock of the week winning streak. We're on a 1-fight winning streak. We're about to make it 2 with my boy Patty Sabatini, and we're feeling great. There's actually a lot of, you mentioned this card, there's not a ton of great fights, but there's a lot of good fighters on this card, so hopefully they put on some performances.
I can completely agree. This could be a fun card. I like that it's not in the middle of the day, so it's almost a normal time card. Jesse says join the Discord. I agree, Jesse. This one we're doing a couple. I've got a whole bunch of things we're trying to figure out now, but one thing I am going to do is a bigger push for the Discord. I'm going to change up the Discord instead of doing a
Is Instagram
different
back?
channel. What?
Is Instagram back?
Oh yeah, well I'm locked out of Instagram right now. That should be resolved tomorrow. I was posting too much, so they logged me out, which that happens literally every week because I'm doing every fight. It kicks me out, and then I log back in. This time it kicked me out. I logged back in, and then it said, we texted you a verification code. Enter your code to verify your identity. And I didn't get the code. So I did send me a new text. I didn't get it. I clicked send me a new text. I didn't get it. I did send me a new text.
You're
And
like
then
a
it said,
65-year-old man that's just like, I don't understand. It just
I didn't
keeps
get it.
clicking the same thing over and over.
I
and
would
over.
wait like 5 minutes. I wouldn't get it. And then it said, you've done this too many times. You have to wait 24 hours. Okay. So then I restarted my phone, and then all the texts came in with the numbers. So then I put the number in. It didn't take it. Today I checked. It had been 24 hours, and it said you have to wait 24 hours. So I'm just not going to touch it. I'm going to leave it alone, and I will check again tomorrow at the 24-hour mark. And I reached out to their customer service. So it's literally, they thought it was fraud because I was posting too many pictures too quickly. So we'll
Jester
see.
actually has a good point here. Chris Curtis is fighting Rodolfo Vieira. That's good. That's one of the more interesting matchups I've ever seen in my life. Chris Curtis and Rodolfo.
We will see what happens. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us live. Make sure you subscribe, like, do all the things. Visit our sponsors, sign up for stuff. Obviously, we give away a ton of money. And what I'm doing with the Discord,
And
join the
please
Discord.
become members because I am broke as shit.
There you go. And the Discord's 100% free. All of our content, we're not hiding it behind paywalls. On the Discord, from now on, anybody, I'm going to add a channel called Your Picks. Anybody that comments on the video saying, Angelo, you're an idiot, I can do better than you, go to the Discord, list all of your picks. Every single pick for every single fight. And then we will compare you to me or you to Jacob at the end of the week. I'm done with responding to one-off comments on one fight. It is very easy to look at one fight and pretend you're a genius. Do all of them every week.
That's why I got so upset. People are like, oh my God, you lost 2 lock of the weeks. Motherfuckers, I'm 11-4-1 picking underdogs. You know how hard that is? You know how insane that is to pick an underdog every single week and win 4? I won 4 weeks in a row twice. That is 8 weeks in a row of picking underdogs and winning. So all the haters out there.
Well, we've got 5,000 subscribers now, and not all of them are good apples. Anyway, thank you guys very much. We appreciate everything. And we'll see you on Saturday for the pre-fight live stream.